Practice isn't the thing you do once you're good. It's the thing you do that makes you good. Malcolm Gladwell. Well, my friends, practice is what we ask for. 10 to 15 minutes each and every day. Day in and day out, every day the market is open. Let's see where we are today. Stocks are mixed. Everything else is down. In fact, the only thing going up is the S&P 500 for the day. It ended up, and let's make sure we get on the right chart here, the 95-minute chart, ended up 0.12%, 195-minute chart. We see that it is sliding sideways now for about 2.5 days or so. Doji in the morning, doji in the afternoon. Now, of course, we've got a great deal of indecision at this point. We're at the top of the STC. We are just below the 200 EMA on this half-day chart. It's green. 2-day chart is green, and again topping out a little above where it was last week in the green on the STC as well as the candles. We look at the weekly. We can see we've not reached the high of last week yet. We can see that we are still red there. So where are we? Well, we're waiting to see if we're going to blow through that 200 EMA and give us the possibility to jump into some long moves, or if the weekly chart's going to rule and everything's going to fall over going down. So we really do, I think the dojis are directing us quite well. Lots of indecision. We're waiting for the charts to tell us what's gonna happen. Now let's move on to the NASDAQ 100. It was down a little bit for the day, 0.57%. We can see where it has already peaked, and we have a day and a half of down movement. We can see that the lows on all three of those candles are still moving down. For giggles, let's look at what's happening with the volume. We can see where the volume peaked there on that green spinning top where things peaked. And then, again, volume falling at the end of the day. So it doesn't tell us a whole lot from that. So just thought I'd check that out for you. What are we waiting for? We're waiting for that STC to go red, or again, if we pull this down some, you can see how close we got to the 200 EMA on the NASDAQ 100 also. Now, those of you not familiar with the way that we use the 200 EMA, it really shows us whether we're looking to trade uptrend or downtrend. If we're below it, we're looking for down moves only. If we're above it, we're looking for up moves only. Why? Because it helps us trade in the direction of the trend. We're not getting stung. You might say, but Tom, you lost out on this whole up move here. Yes, but if you go back in time and you see how short those up moves previously were, you will find out time and time again that it pays to use this 200 EMA as a discriminator. Now, as far as where the 2-day is, it is green, and again, a little bit higher like we saw on the S&P 500 and not reaching where we were over the prior week. Again, very similar to the S&P 500. We also see bouncing off that 200 EMA on the weekly chart. And of course, that weekly chart is still red. So on the STC. So that's where we are on stocks. As I said, they are mixed, and we will continue to keep our eye on where things are going. Do check out the NASDAQ 100 tomorrow morning and just see if things do pop over. There's a big down move. You might see that STC go red and might give you an opportunity to jump into a short practice trade. Now let's move on to bonds. Bonds down for the day, 0.98%. We can see where bonds topped out on Friday morning, and then of course moving over and down on Monday. We look at the STC, it is green. That's on the half day. On the two day, it is green. Also, nice booming up candle there. On the weekly, it also is green. So, of course, things are looking quite nice there. However, the problem is, if you look at the STC, we're still below it on every single one of those charts. So, we'll keep our eye on things. We're waiting, of course, for a move through the 200 EMA to go long on 20-year bonds, or for them to roll over and head down Of course, we will keep in mind if that does occur that our STC on our two bigger charts, the 2-day and the weekly, are still green. So that'll give us a little bit of trepidation. And you know what? That's okay. We don't have to trade anything ever. Unlike professional traders who have to move volume, we don't have to do that. We wait for good setups because it is hard to recover from stupid moves. It's easy to recover when you don't trade because you've got nothing to recover from. Oh, I could have, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Don't worry about that. What you actually do is what matters. And the first rule of trading is don't lose money. Recovering from losses is one of the hardest things you can do. But you still practice trade. You still get in there and learn from things. But when you're putting real money on the line, when you start real money trading, that's when you got to be careful. Okay, let's look at we're going from 20-year bonds to gold. Gold down for the day 0.27%. We take a look at gold, we can see we're well below the 200 AMA on that half-day chart. Down in the morning, not quite as down in the afternoon. What are we waiting for? Of course, below that 200 EMA, we're waiting for things to go from green to red to short gold. The only way you can really short gold is not using one of those inverse funds. We have found TGZ is way too illiquid. You have to really look at puts. If you want to practice trade puts, that's what you'd be looking for. Don't have that trigger to pull yet. We do see on the 2-day chart, it's still red on the STC, but a green candle forming. We look at the weekly, and of course, it is still down. Now, as far as where the STC is, it is, of course, red. 200 EMA, we're sort of bouncing off that. So I'm hoping gold's going to bounce off all of that, and we're going to see gold turn over and start heading up. And of course, it would start where? It would start, of course, on the half day. But that night might not be in the cards yet. If gold starts to roll over hard, of course, we'll be ready to pull the trigger on a put trade. Something for you to consider practice trading. If you're not a Patreon supporter, then by all means, my friends, we have a 3-part series, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. One of the big bonuses you get right away when you become a Patreon supporter at any of the 3 levels. You appreciate what we do here. We'd appreciate your support. Now let's move lastly to Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin was moving up for several days and now rolling over some, going into the red on the STC after topping out. Has Bitcoin recovered? Well, still below the 200 EMA on that half-day chart, going from green to red. But the good news is that red is not hammering down. It is still sliding along sideways, so maybe we'll see a bit of a recovery there. Who knows? We look at the 2-day and tighten that up a little bit. There we go. It's still in the green, although we've got a green spinning top forming. And we look at the weekly chart, still in the red. We're still around that most recent bottom, so we've not. And this week starting off quite weak. So again, we'll just wait, watch, and see. When Bitcoin gets to be tradable, we will be telling you and doing the practice trades. But it's not there yet, friends. That's where we are as we end the day. Thanks so much for being with us. We always love to have you with us. You have questions, problems, concerns. We love to hear from you. CW@chartingwealth.com is the way to reach out to us. You're not a subscriber, then you're not getting all the free trainings that we put out each and every day. That list is never spammed, never shared. Go to chartingwealth.com, sign up. Thank you again, Patreon supporters and friends. All the best.